Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the inside of a double pole 50 amp breaker here. Now in the United States, if we need something that runs off of 240 volts, we end up with a double pole breaker. And you'll notice this has two contacts for hooking up electricity over here. And you essentially have two phases coming in from a transformer, and each one will be 120 volts. And you end up putting them together, and you end up with 240 volts across these two terminals here. But anyway, this breaker has failed. At least one of the contacts has gone bad in this thing. So you'll see this one's just full of dirt too, and it's not in very good shape. And the reason why is this was sitting in an outside electrical box, and it wasn't sealed up very well apparently, so it's just got a whole bunch of dust and it looks like ant eggs and weird stuff like that in it. But anyway, if you look at the front of this one's a Square D branded one. 10 kiloamps is the maximum current rating that this thing can take safely. That would be like if the thing got shorted out. That's what it could shut off. But other than that, it's a 50 amp 240 volt breaker, and this should have basically another one of these on the other side of it. So these little clips over here are just for mounting it into the box, so those aren't hooked up to anything. These two clips are the actual electrical contact clips, and then in here you can actually see the mechanism. I'll go ahead and move this to the off position, and you'll see this thing flies out. And that disconnects the incoming power here. And you'll see that contact is actually pretty darn dirty. And if you move this back into the on position, okay, I don't need this piece. Goodbye. If I move this back to the on position, make sure that's lined up. There we go. You'll see this arm swings back into place. Now the actual current shutoff is over this way. You see this little piece in here. If I give that a poke, it will actually trip the breaker if I poke this thing right here. So that's tripped now, and you'll see that the contact is opened up. Okay, maybe it's a little bit sticky. Now it's opened up all the way. And up here you have a little red indicator that comes on. At least on these Square D branded ones, this actually still shows that it's on, but the red indicator shows up there. Some breakers, it'll end up being like in the middle when you trip them, and actually that's how most of them are. They end up being in the middle. At least here in America, that's what they do. But in order to reset this, you have to turn it off, which is kind of hard to do, probably because this has been opened. And then you just turn it back on like that, and that'll be reset. Or it should be reset. Maybe I didn't get... This thing's actually pretty sticky. There we go. So in here, this little fiberglass piece here, I think it is, some kind of insulator. I do believe that is just there so when this thing disconnects under a heavy load, a big spark doesn't go flying into the rest of this thing. Well, let's see if I can get the other side of this open, because there should be two parts to this. I suppose there's still rivets holding this. I might be able to pry it open though. I tell you what, they really don't want you to take these things apart. But anyway, I managed to get it apart. And yeah, pretty much as I expected, just another identical breaker here. Except this thing has the little red piece that pops up when it's triggered. So anyway, that's how these are put together. Most of the parts have fallen out of this thing at this point, actually both of them, just from trying to pry those things open. But anyway, there's just two identical breakers, so if either one of the poles goes over 50 amps, it will trip them both. It will set them both off at the same time because they were connected together. But anyway, basically, from what I understand, the way that this works is that there's a piece in here, presumably back behind all that stuff, that when it gets or current passes through it, and it's like a bimetallic strip. So that'll heat up, and as it heats up with more and more current, this thing bends more and more, and eventually it sets off the trigger that trips the breaker. So anyway, and this thing's falling apart. But anyway, guys, this is what the inside of a really dirty, neglected breaker looks like. This is why you should probably seal boxes properly. And it looks like just dust and stuff. There was actually a little bit of grease on some of these components that was just filthy. But anyway, that's what the inside of an extremely dirty, non-working circuit breaker looks like. I also tested these out. One side had like 3 ohms of resistance, and then the other side had like 10 or 12 mega ohms. So there's no wonder why this thing wasn't passing any current through it. And the contacts are just really bad on these. And part of the reason why the contacts are bad is because they were left open most of the time, because we didn't need the power onto this most of the time, so they got left off, which is still how it's going to be. But the box is at least sealed up so that stuff can't get inside like this. So anyway, hope you enjoy this little look at a neglected circuit breaker. So see you next time, guys. Bye.